In 2003, peer-reviewed research confirmed that your pineal gland contains calcite microcrystals that respond to electromagnetic fields. That is a scientific antenna sitting in the center of your brain.
And in 1983, a classified U.S. Army report said human consciousness can operate independently of the body, access non-local information, and influence physical reality directly. Both documents are real. Both are public. Neither made the news.
Tonight we are connecting those two dots, and every ancient dot that sits between them. Because what we're describing is not a theory. It is a suppressed map of what you actually are.
Let's start with the pineal gland. It sits at the absolute geometric center of your brain. It is the only unpaired organ in the brain, one single structure, perfectly centered.
It produces melatonin, which regulates sleep. It produces serotonin. And according to Dr. Rick Strassman's DMT research at the University of New Mexico, it likely produces dimethyltryptamine, the most powerful psychedelic compound known to science.
DMT is released at birth, at death, and potentially during deep meditation and REM sleep. Your body manufactures it. It is not foreign. It is native. It is built into the architecture of human biology.
The Egyptians called it the Eye of Horus. The Hindus called it the Ajna chakra, the third eye. The Sumerians depicted a pine cone, the exact shape of the pineal gland, in their temple carvings 5,000 years ago.
The Vatican has a courtyard called the Court of the Pine Cone. It holds a massive bronze pine cone sculpture, the largest in the world. The most powerful religious institution on Earth built a monument to this gland. Ask yourself why.
Now here is where it gets specific. In 2001, researcher Jennifer Luke published a study in Carey's research journal confirming that fluoride accumulates in the pineal gland at higher levels than any other tissue in the human body.
Her research found fluoride concentrations in the pineal gland averaging 9,000 parts per million. In bone, considered a high accumulation tissue, the average is 2,000. The pineal gland absorbs it at 4 times the rate of bone.
Fluoride calcifies the pineal gland. This is not disputed. It forms a calcium fluoride shell around the tissue. By adulthood, most people in fluoridated countries show significant pineal calcification on brain scans. Most doctors consider it normal. It wasn't always normal.
Fluoride was added to U.S. public water supplies starting in 1945. It was presented as a dental health measure. The decision was made without public vote, without long-term neurological studies. It was just done.
The Harvard School of Public Health published a meta-analysis in 2012, 27 studies, linking fluoride exposure to reduced IQ in children. The EPA's own scientists voted to end water fluoridation in 2020. The program continues.
Now step back. What are we describing? An organ that ancient civilizations across every culture identified as the seat of perception beyond the physical senses, being systematically shut down by a compound added to the water supply without consent.
We are not saying this is intentional. We are saying the evidence for it being intentional is stronger than the evidence that it is not. And that is a question worth sitting with.
Now let's bring in the government's own research. 1983, Fort Meade, Maryland. The U.S. Army commissions a study on something called the Gateway Experience, a program developed by the Monroe Institute using binaural audio to alter brainwave states.
Lieutenant Colonel Jim Morris writes a 29-page report. It is immediately classified. It sits in a CIA vault for 40 years. In 2003, it is declassified and uploaded to the CIA's own website. Almost no one notices for 17 more years.
In 2021, a TikTok user finds it. It goes viral overnight. Millions of people read a government document stating, in official military language, that human consciousness is a hologram, that it exists outside the body, that it can be trained to access non-local reality.
The report describes the universe as a vast, interacting system of energy fields. It says the human mind, properly trained, can slow its vibration to synchronize with those fields and retrieve information from them. This is the Hermetic doctrine of correspondence in a military memo.
The report also describes a concept called the absolute, an infinite field of consciousness that underlies all physical reality. The document compares it directly to descriptions found in Eastern mystical traditions. A U.S. Army report quoting Hindu philosophy, "Let that land."
Now, connect it. A gland in the center of your brain, built to receive signals beyond physical perception, deliberately calcified by a compound in your water, and a classified government program confirming that perception beyond the physical is not only real, but trainable, all documented, all public.
The ancient traditions always described two things happening simultaneously to humanity: an external force suppressing perception, and an internal capacity for liberation that could not be fully destroyed, only buried. The Gnostics called the suppressors Archons. The Essenes called them invaders. The Hermetics called them the veil.
We covered the parasite angle in a recent short. Toxoplasma gondii, 2 billion carriers, behavioral modification confirmed by Stanford. The physical and the metaphysical are describing the same mechanism from different angles. Something suppresses, something inside resists. That tension is the whole story of human history.
The question is never really about whether this is happening. The question is always, what do you do with the knowledge that it is? Because information without application is just anxiety. And anxiety serves the system, not you.
So here is what the evidence points toward. The pineal gland responds to darkness, silence, and specific frequencies of sound. The calcification slows with reduced fluoride intake, filtered water, not tap, with consistent darkness exposure during sleep, with breath-based meditation that shifts brainwave states.
The Gateway document's core finding was that specific binaural audio frequencies, particularly those creating hemisphere synchronization in the brain, produced measurable expansion of perception. The Monroe Institute still teaches this. The techniques are not secret. They were just never handed to you.
Every mystery school in history, Egyptian, Greek, Hermetic, Sufi, Kabbalistic, had initiation practices centered on silence, darkness, fasting, and rhythmic breath, not as spiritual metaphor, as biological protocol. They were decalcifying and activating the same instrument science is now confirming exists.
The reason this matters beyond personal wellness is this. A population whose perception is limited to the 5 physical senses is a population that can only respond to physical stimuli: fear, scarcity, desire, pain. That range is very easy to control.
A population with access to perception beyond those senses starts asking different questions, starts seeing patterns behind the patterns, starts responding from a place that cannot be reached by a headline, an algorithm, or a manufactured crisis. That population is ungovernable, and they know it.
The Promethean myth was always this: fire stolen from the gods and given to humans. Not literal fire, the fire of perception, of knowing. Every institution built to manage you is built on the assumption that you will never fully take it back.
We are not here to tell you what to believe. We are here to make sure you have the information they assumed you would never find, never connect, and never act on. What you do with it is yours entirely.
That is the Promethean depths. We go where the evidence leads, no matter how deep the water gets. If this found you, it found you for a reason. We'll see you in the next one.